Welcome back. Repertory Philippines stages Shakespeare in Hollywood for its latest theater offering. Now, it's a comedy set in the 1930s about the making of the Warner Brothers movie version of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, rather. Here's a scene from the play.
Comes through that door and changes everything.
I'm a slut!
Lydia!
That's what they call me, Jack. A slut. Here, look at this. Photoplay magazine. The 10 biggest sluts in Hollywood. And who do you think is #1, huh? The queen of the sluts. Take a guess.
You?
Bingo. You got it, Jack. And you know why they call me that, huh? Do ya? Because I do all the stinking pictures you give me.
Oh, but darling.
Got 'em all, mama. Remember that one? And hold my pistol.
Oh, but they made you a star.
A store? You call this a store? Look at me. Now I want something decent for a change. Something with prestige. You make biography pictures. Give me one of those. I'd be great in a biopic. I could play me a damn puree. Listen to this. I wrote it myself. Oh, Dr. Mendel. Just look at them squiggly things under the microscope. I think they could cure something. Something bad like disease. Wait, we'll call it penicillin.
Oh, but we just...
Well, joining us in the studio are the play's cast members, Hans Eckstein, Kaisa Borromeo, and Chris Villonco. Guys, good morning. Chris, I almost didn't recognize you because I was staring at you. You had blonde hair in that
Totally
scene.
manufactured. Everything.
First off, guys, wonderful to have you on the show this morning. Shakespeare in Hollywood. It sounds like, you know, you guys have a multi-layered theater production that's coming on. It's going to be about, well, it's a theater production about a movie that's taking place in the 30s. Tell us a little bit more about the plot.
Well, go ahead. Well, it was based on the 1935 film, A Midsummer Night's Dream by the Warner Brothers, directed by Max Reinhardt. These are actually real people at that time, but it's really Shakespeare gone wrong. Because what happens is, it's on the set of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and then Oberon and Puck, the fairies from the actual Shakespearean play, somehow are transported into 1935, I guess. And this is how they deal with the whole world of Hollywood and how their encounters with everybody.
Well, I mean, there's, I guess, just like I said, it is very multi-layered, and it must be difficult. I mean, you go from, the real Oberon and Puck,
yes, that's right,
in Shakespearean language. I mean, do you speak it? Hans, you're playing
yes,
Oberon,
I'm
right?
playing Oberon.
And you do it because you have the perfect manner in which to speak in Shakespearean language. You go from that, but then you also go into the 1930s life in Hollywood.
That's right.
How did you guys prepare for these various roles?
Well, actually, our director, Jaime Del Mundo, he actually, to help us out, he made us watch the actual movie. So we got to see the actual 1930s movie of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay.
And so we got to draw in a lot of the time. You know, these are actors from the 30s in Hollywood, and they're trying to play Shakespearean characters. So you can also see how they're kind of, trying to execute that well. And,
it sounds difficult because I mean Shakespeare in and of itself always kind of intimidates a lot of people, whether on the stage or whether still in books. What do you guys think? Why do you guys love Shakespeare, and maybe so much so that you can really relate to it and play it out on stage?
Actually, the thing with this show is it's not very Shakespeare focused. Okay. It's I mean, it has a lot of texts from a lot of Shakespeare plays, but it's not really a Shakespeare play because it's more focused on the 1930s era and what happens when the Shakespeare characters come into the real world. It's very Enchanted.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit of Enchanted. What's the other movie?
Or Kate and Leopold.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's the other movie where
that.
she's like a princess and she comes into with Mr. McDreamy?
Enchanted.
Yeah, that's
Enchanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's it. See, I only know McDreamy. But yeah, very much so. Just these fairy tale characters coming into real life. Now, speaking of real life and the character that you play, guys, I mean, you play someone from the Midwest.
I play Olivia de Havilland. Actually, in the show, her name is Olivia Darnell, but it's kind of based on Olivia de Havilland, who was the actress who played Hermia in The Midsummer Night's Dream. She was the actress in Midsummer Night's Dream with Dick Powell and
James
Joey
Cagney.
Brown, James Cagney, who are also characters in our show. They just changed her name in the show. I think they wanted a different name for that. But it's not. My peg isn't really Olivia de Havilland. It's just her as Hermia.
I see. Okay. Well, the character doesn't. The name changes a little bit, but does her personality change?
Not really. It's pretty much the same. Like that's why I like to prepare for it. I researched about Olivia de Havilland and like watched some of her movies or some clips just so I can see what, it was also like how they moved in the 1930s and like how they talked, because it's very different the way we talk now. So like we have to be careful not to speak very modern and
but there's also
mannerisms.
a very big difference before I get on over to the blonde bombshell role that Chris plays. But aside from it being in a different era, I mean, it's a different culture. It's a different, it might be very difficult already for Americans to play someone that's back in an era that they didn't still exist. But does that present a lot more challenges, I guess, seeing as how this staging is being put together here in the Philippines? And how did you guys, I guess, adjust to that? Adjust to any of those challenges, or was there anything in particular you're like, I'm supposed to play a 1935, a girl from the 1930s, and she's supposed to be from the Midwest? Anything that you could relate to, and anything that you're like, no way, I'm so opposite from that.
Actually, it's really funny that like Olivia is described as the Midwest, because we never mentioned that in rehearsals. I don't know where it came from, but like my character Olivia is supposedly the ingenue character, the very like nice, and she's supposed to be smart and like ambitious and knows what she wants and goes for what she wants, but she likes everyone. She's very pleasant and she falls in love easily, and like she's a very like innocent young girl.
And is that someone that's kind of juxtaposed to the character that Chris plays, which is a blonde
very
bombshell?
different.
The blonde
Is Destin only? Now, tell me if this is accurate, because I don't know about the Midwest.
Okay, go ahead.
He played Lydia, who was destined only to play in sexual films. How did you step into that role? How did you embrace that
idea. I walked into the reading and they were like, okay, you're doing Lydia, and I said, what am I doing? But it was fun because I have always wanted to play a slut. And I never got around to doing that because they never saw me as that. So it's kind of fun being in a sexy outfit, totally manufactured, with everything padded on me, including my wig. And yes, I play the bombshell girlfriend of Jack Warner, one of the Warner brothers. And I want a decent picture. I don't want any of these other sexual pictures that he's been giving me. So my first serious project is A Midsummer Night's Dream as Elena.
Oh, I see. Okay, so these
Helena.
So again, these are real people. There was really
actually there wasn't. I think Lydia Lansing is fictional.
Yeah.
But they just needed that. During that time, there really was always a bombshell. Celebrity.
So was it fun? I mean, do you play a ditzy bombshell? We saw in the clip earlier, you seem very excited about penicillin. And there you are right there on the table.
with my
boobs hanging out.
With those assets.
Yes, wonderful assets.
What was the most fun part about playing Lydia, I guess?
I think it's just breaking out of what I usually am. Being able to experiment with a lot of things, even with the clothes. It's a lot of fun doing all that and trying to make a completely different person.
Well, they say when good girls go bad, they don't go back. So I don't know. Well, we mentioned earlier, Hans, that you are playing Oberon. Do you think that people need to have an understanding or a deep appreciation of A Midsummer Night's Dream, of Shakespeare in general, in order for them to, appreciate the play? Maybe how can an ordinary person really kind of enjoy it?
I think actually it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to be a fan of Shakespeare to enjoy our play. I mean, it's a comedy, it's your usual, it's like a farce, and I think that it does help if you do have a little knowledge. You'll get a lot of the little inside jokes in it, but it's also, I guess you could say it's also maybe educational for people who maybe aren't really exposed to Shakespeare. I do say a lot of Shakespearean type dialogue. So it also kind of, people can see how it how they used to speak or perform Shakespeare at that time,
Does that carry over it to the? Does that carry over to the way that you guys have your characters? I guess in general, ever since you've tapped into and expanded your horizons, as you just said, are there any funny, quirky stories about you guys kind of finding yourselves in your character outside or off the stage?
I do end up talking like her sometimes.
Yeah. Actually, sometimes
Oh, Ron, he's a fairy, right? Does he wear tights?
Yes, I do. You'll have to see the show.
Yung pala yun eh. Okay.
You'll have to see the show to find out.
All right. Well, tell us. The show is going to run from April 1.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes,
To
1
to
to
17. That's on the weekends at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays.
Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m.
And Saturdays and Sundays 3 p.m.
Yep.
All right. Well, guys, thank you. Congratulations. As we talked about off-cam, this is the third offering of Repertory. Just very quickly, what else can we expect from Repertory Philippines after Shakespeare in Hollywood?
Oh, we've got
a lot of fun.
There's a lot of, we actually have Peter Pan later this year.
More tights!
Yes,
more tights.
And
Peter
pirates.
Pan with Sam Concepcion.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of fun shows.
And then, of course,
Susical.
children's theater,
Children's
Susical.
theater, Susical.
Yes.
Great. And very, very last point. I mean, you did mention earlier that it's an educational thing for some people. I mean, do you think young children can also come in and enjoy?
I would say it's more for
A little bit older, a
Yeah.
little mature. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, sounds good. But keep those tights on for Shakespeare in Hollywood and
Try.
Peter Pan. All right. Hans, Kaisa, and Chris, thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
great
very
to see
much
you
for
guys.
having us.